So it's kind of cool to be able to incorporate that into movies.
That's super cool.
Awesome.
Hey, before we're 45 minutes in, time is flying by. This has been such a fun conversation. Before we kind of transition, Archie has a series of rapid fire questions. He typically fires off. I have a couple questions. One is, you mentioned about stem cells, and that was for your shoulder, right?
Yes.
What was that? What was that process like? I mean, there's a lot of more and more people in the jiu-jitsu community and MMA community as a whole are utilizing procedures like that to be able to improve, injuries. Could you walk us through, how did that research start, and what was that process like?
Yeah. So about 7 years ago, doing jiu-jitsu, doing one of my fitness routines, my shoulder started popping out, and it got to a point where I needed to sleep with a sweatshirt on so that my arm couldn't go above my head or else it would pop out. So I had surgery, and then, don't tell the doctor, but I kept doing jiu-jitsu and some of the things that loosen up surgery, like we all do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, my shoulder was starting to bother me again, and I was trying to figure out what I could do to repair it. And I happened to be traveling. I was in Costa Rica in San Jose, and I was I went to jiu-jitsu the night before at a place in Costa Rica. I was at the Hero Academy. I went to one of the camps there for 5 days, and then went to San Jose, and I was working, and I was pretty darn sore, after 5 days of jiu-jitsu. And I was walking through the gym holding a kettlebell up, just kind of walking, trying to just strengthen my shoulder a little bit. And I was really, really tight. And this guy walks over and he goes, "Oh man, how you doing?" And he started talking to me. Turns out he's a CEO of a company that's US based. And he was there with some of his doctors. And they were doing stem cell on a guy who was getting ready to go into space, and on some other famous people that were in the building. And he said, "Come on over to my table for breakfast. Let's talk a little." And he brought me to his clinic, did a sonogram, showed me kind of where some of my tears were. It matched the MRI and stuff that my doctor had said I had. And he recommended that I try stem cell instead of another surgery. And I did some more research, found out about the umbilical cord stem cells that they were doing in Costa Rica versus what you could do in the US. And I did it.
Wow. So when that happened, how long is that procedure and recovery? Like, what exactly would somebody expect that's going through that?
So, first of all, it's way better than a surgery from a recovery side, right? So I went in, had blood work to make sure everything was good. I sent them the MRI that I had from my doctors here. They did their own, and then they did a sonogram while they were doing the injections. So you're there. It's a pretty long needle. I personally had 11 injections in different parts of my shoulder, all designed to, basically reconnect, regrow, and then regain the tissue. And in doing so, it was 11 injections. It was a course of an hour sitting there. I stayed for another hour, just kind of relaxing. And then I stayed in the hotel for about 3 days while I was there, just to make sure there was no other issues. I came home, keeping my arm fairly still. And then I started moving it day 5, 6, really lightweight day 7. And by week 3, I was up to about 50% of weight. And by the end of 6 weeks, I was starting to push it. And then it was stronger than ever before by 2 months in, 3 months in. And then I went back after 6 months and had them do some new sonograms to see where it had picked up and where it had not. And they did 6 other injections at that point in time as kind of maintenance and, part of kind of their warranty period. And then it's been 6 months. Actually, it was September that I had or not September, I'm sorry, it was March when I had the last injections. And I